I didn't know what a unicorn really was a little while ago. People seem really excited to hear about unicorns lately. And so I was asked to talk about from startup to unicorn. And what I want to share are some of the lessons that we learned along the way. Now, I am really excited to be here because I'm also a family history and genealogy nut. Everything I do full speed. My wife says, Ken, you're like a Tesla. There's only full speed or foot off, you know. And so I've been busy recovering from a car accident, truck accident actually. I bought a much bigger truck this time. And about 12 years ago when I started this business, InsideSales.com, you know, I learned that the harder I worked and the more stressed I got and the more weight I put on. I caught chest to drawers disease. It's where your chest falls to your drawers. And so I'm really grateful for this opportunity to actually work my way out of it. So this is one of the first speaking engagements I've had for a long time because I've been busy recuperating. So I'm not my normal self. Bear with me a little bit. I'll do my best today. But when you talk about your passion, good things happen, and that's what I want to share. So my background, I started the original inside sales department at Franklin Covey back in the early days, back in the magic days of Franklin when we were the second fastest growing company in the United States in the early 90s. And I came from that, from having been the marketing director for Infobases. Worked with Paul and Dan, who went on to found Ancestry. So we used to, in our spare time, talk about where we thought the world might go. And it's there. What I ended up doing here with InsideSales.com is just developing the technology. I wished I'd had when all I had was a leather book at Franklin where you plan your day. Although I've never been more organized, I have to tell you that. Well, this is my business partner, Dave Elkington. We started InsideSales.com in 2004. Little did we know that both Salesforce and Microsoft would invest in us over time. I want to tell you a little bit about that story. And we just got to work. Everyone says, boy, you're an overnight success. We said, no, it's been 12 long years. And we've paid a big price. My wife, Crystal, knows that price. But if I can help you today with some of the things we learned, I will do my best. So out of the blue, we were voted the #1 company in the United States in social currency for the high growth companies. Now, what does social currency mean? That means social media that actually brings results. Well, we took a whole different approach. We're salespeople who only get paid if we bring results. So that's what I'm going to share is some of that social media, social selling for results, some of the principles of being an entrepreneur. It all started years ago when I started writing a little blog. In our industry, there was no real thought leaders, except there was a lot of trainers in sales. And my little blog took off and became #1 in the world. And I was asked to write for Forbes magazine, and all kinds of fun things have happened ever since. But there was a little formula that we learned that I'm going to share with you. So, things we learned along the way. First of all, innovation, the concept of innovation. Innovation is the ability to take something that's worked somewhere else and applying it in your world. I call it creative plagiarism. As long as you change it 35%, you're good, right? But in other words, find principles that someone else already learned and don't learn them again, just apply them. That's what innovation really is. This is Mark Benioff, the founder of Salesforce, the #1 most innovative company in the world. So the first lesson that I learned when I got off my LDS mission to South Carolina, where I met the beautiful Sister Cornwall over here, I pulled up and my buddy pulls up in a silver Porsche. And he says, Ken, you should come sell computers with us. I thought, well, that would be fun. So he talked me into starting a business selling little notebook computers. This was the first, besides the big lunchbox size laptops that Compaq made. And I was so excited. We came up with this beautiful name, Portable Systems. Isn't that original? And I spent 3 weeks just building my business cards. And I never sold a dang thing. So rule #1, just go sell something. When I met with Dave Elkington the first week, I said, Dave, I've got a little pet peeve here. Let's not even do business cards for the first $2 million in sales. Is that fair? And he says, hey, I'm good with that. So we actually did not even have business cards. We didn't have anything that didn't help us just sell. So get out there and get things into production fast. That's rule #1. Don't waste all of your time having the perfect system. Make it good, make it valuable, and then go sell. and get that revenue flowing. That was the biggest lesson. One of my favorite things when we bring in new employees, I tell this story. It's gotten to be sort of a parable. And when I started with Paul and Dan at InfoBases, I showed up my first day, and I walked in the front doors, and I had to fill out my paperwork. I went to the receptionist. I said, I'd love to get my paperwork. And while she was getting me the paperwork as a new hire, I looked behind the desk, and there was this orange extension cord plugged into the wall, and it went out over here, and it went down the hallway into someone's office. And I said, what's with the orange extension cord? And she said, what orange extension cord? I said, it's right there. It's orange. It's bright orange. She said, oh, I hadn't noticed it. It's been there a long time. I said, it's bright orange. And she said, well, I don't know. So the next meeting I had with Paul and Dan, I said, what about that? I'm over marketing our appearance. What's with that bright orange extension cord? And they said, well, I don't know. You're kidding me. I walked them out in the hallway. That one. Oh, well, we'll find out. I guess someone had blown a circuit in their office trying to run their fridge. So they're, industrious and wise. They put an extension cord out into the front entryway. I'm just like, well, let's see if we can get rid of it. So for 6 weeks, I'd put this note, get rid of the orange extension cord. And I went and tried to find a new circuit that would, but their fridge, this was an important person in the company. So I couldn't get rid of the dang extension cord. And after 6 weeks, I stopped thinking about it. And 6 months later, as we were moving to another building, I personally coiled up that dang orange extension cord. And I had put blinders on like everybody else. But the most powerful thing that a new person brings to your business is a fresh perspective. That's why you hired them. Hold on to that. Make them write it down. Make them contribute the change they can contribute while they can still see the orange extension cords. So for the rest of your life, you'll see orange extension cords everywhere. It'll drive you crazy. Then people ask me, I wrote this article for Forbes. They said, Ken, what's your best advice? In fact, when I'm consulting with organizations, I go in, I says, what's your target? What are you trying to do? And they said, well, we want to sell to everybody. I said, then I realized they've got a formula for failure. So this little article with the picture of the tree is one of my favorite things. Notice the taproot. What a tree does when you plant a tree is it sends roots out in every direction. It tests and looks for all kinds of opportunity until it finds a water source. Then that taproot grows really big and it stops going in every direction. Then it starts growing straight up. It focuses. Notice that trunk. There's no tree, no branches coming out. If it stops growing up, it goes sideways and then it becomes a bush and it never gets above all the other trees. So the key is once you've found that taproot, focus, 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 and grow and get bigger than the other trees in the forest. Then you can branch out because now you need sunlight. In other words, diversify so that if the taproot ever has a struggle, you've got other things you can do. But this is huge. In other words, search till you find your secret superpower, then focus, 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 and grow. And then diversify later. That one's huge. So know what you sell. There's a story about the CEO of Makita. He was in a big employee gathering, and he asked the audience, what do we sell? And they thought, power tools. No. What do we sell? Cordless drills. No. What do we sell? He said, we sell a hole in the wall. The result of what we sell is a hole in the wall, so you can hang a picture or whatever. So it took us a long time to figure out, what do we sell? We sell sales. We sell sales capacity. We don't sell software. So what do you sell? Know what you sell. Know the result you bring in the life of your customers. That's what you sell. And then I always bring this story up. I said, Red Skelton once said, price, quality, or speed, pick any two. I don't know why he came up with it. He's brilliant. He's funny. He's an old comedian in the 50s. Think about it. If you have a low price and high quality, it takes forever to get it. If you have low price and you get it fast, the quality's in the gutter. If it's high quality and it's fast, the price goes through the roof, right? Well, there's one company who's figured out how to do all three. There's a few, but one we know of. And you can't go there without spending $300. How did you know? Everyone says the same. Costco, you can't go there. But they have figured out by controlling their variables, they stack it deep and sell it cheap, so it's all right there. They only carry 1 or 2 brands, so it's high quality, and the price is low. Well, you think the price is low, but I go spending more money than any other store I go to. I buy 2 huge things of ketchup. And they say the lowest price per ounce. Oh, okay, get it. Well, the formula in the middle of that triangle is value. Value. Provide crazy, crazy value. Now, this is one of my favorite rules. If you're going to mark down, by the way, I'll make my slides available if you'd like these. See a lot of people taking notes. But divert a river, don't dig a well. This is probably the single most leveraged principle we use at Inside Sales. And we first found it out when we wanted to find a cool name to describe our company. And we were the first company in the world to blend CRM software with telephony. So I have some things in common with Steve over here. We built call center technology inside of CRM software. And we realized the groups that would do that is be people who sell over the phone. So I told Dave Elkington, our CEO, I said, Dave, the coolest thing we could do is get the name InsideSales.com because it's the name of the category. Little did I know that it was also what was called a keyword. So if you want one of the most powerful tools for free to find out how to get free traffic to your website, it's called the Google Keyword Planner Tool. That one is worth writing down. The Google Keyword Planner Tool. We went out and we typed in Inside Sales into Google, and we found 40,000 companies were hiring and not a single competitor in the space. But we went into the Google Keyword Planner Tool and we found 40,000 searches on the phrase Inside Sales. We were blessed. And then we called up the guy who owned the .com and we said, we want to buy it. He said $100,000. Oh, yeah. Well, little did they know I was going to sick my business partner, Dave Elkington, on him. He's a master at Chinese water torture negotiations. And for about 3 months, we're going back and forth. And right before Christmas, the guy calls us up and said, if you can get me money today so I can buy Christmas, I'll give you the domain. So we gave him $3,000. It's worth probably $1.5 million. But the key of all is it has 40,000 searches a month for free. And if you've got the name, you rise to the top of Google. It's like having a billboard on the side of the freeway with a big arrow pointing to your office, and they gave it to you for free. Does that make sense? So, divert a river of traffic. Don't create a river of traffic. Divert a river of need. Don't create need. Divert need. Find need and fill it. That is gold right there. Swim with the sharks. This is similar to the first one. A shark is a really big brand, a big logo, or a big person. Steve Jobs or Apple are both sharks. Now, there's 2 kinds of fish that swim with a shark. There's a remora that attaches its little sucker to the top of the shark and just gets a free ride. It's called a parasite. It doesn't give back. And then there's the pilot fish. I love the pilot fish. They swim by the mouth of the shark. They clean all the parasites and clean its teeth, and the shark never eats them. They're symbiotic. They give back to the shark. So one of our biggest partners is Salesforce.com, but when we go to their trade show, we bring a couple of thousand people to the show as well. We try and always give back. So, and then we blend together innovators. This trade show that we did talks about the 80 leading business experts. I know I'm a nightmare for the folks back there with the slides because I'm completely unscripted. Drives everybody crazy. So thanks for bearing with me, everybody. But we put on a record-breaking Innovator Summit online, and we asked 80 speakers to come and join us. But we did something totally different. We got all of them to help us fill the seats, and we broke the world record for the largest online trade show, 33,700 people. And we all swam together and did the same thing together, swim with the sharks. That's what that means. Now I get always asked the question, does one person really matter? I wrote an article on Forbes called The Death of SEO. And it was the top-ranked article for an entire week. And other fairly big publications picked it up and referenced it. 250 blogs quoted it. And I started getting attacked by people who thought I was crazy. and they would make terrible comments on my blog. We call them trolls. They hide under bridges. And I have something other people don't have. I have an IP staff who can do an IT staff who can do reverse IP lookups and find out who they are. So all of you be nice to me. And we found none of them were real. They had fake identities, and they seemed to be aligned with a common theme. I wrote a few political articles in 2012. Same thing happened to me. So I realized that there's a major force out there, and when someone makes a comment, first of all, see if they're real, but respond to that comment. And Orrin Hatch taught me. He's the one that got me into the Naval Academy with an appointment when I was 17. And he said, there's a rule called the 2500 rule. If someone writes a politician a letter, they've realized it's the same as if 2,500 people had the same opinion. So 6 letters, 1,500 people feel, or 15,000 people feel that way. So if someone makes a comment, respond because it matters. Now, the other thing that I've learned is that single comment is worth 470 views on an article. And the best thing is what's called a conversation. That's a comment that goes back and forth. I'm a little bit crazy. I reverse engineered the most popular algorithm on Forbes to see how you get to the most popular page. And this is how you do it. You have a lot of views, but the key is a lot of comments and a lot of social shares. A comment is worth 470 views. A social share is worth 33 views. And as you can see, that's my article there that went to number 1. And what I learned, I always wondered what good Twitter is. Well, Twitter, what is that? Especially for business. And then what I started doing is when I wrote an article, I let my folks on Twitter know. They'd go out and they'd make comments and they'd share, and all of a sudden I'd be number 1 on Forbes. Now there's 1,000 columnists on Forbes, and only 25 ever get to be in the most popular. But what happens if you make it to most popular? Then your article gets 10 to 100 times the traffic. And then Wall Street Journal watches you. Huffington Post watches you, then they write about it. And so if you've got a strong following that collaborates together, I've been on most popular now about 3 out of 4 articles. And I don't think it's because of me, it's just because I got a really crazy following who loves to cause results. But even a single comment matters. Now, this is what changed our whole business world. We asked the question, years ago our salespeople came to us and they said, Ken, it seems like when we call back leads really fast, we make the sale. I said, really? It's speed? Speed to respond? And they said, yeah, the internet's given us all ADD. We got to have it now. And so we did this research study with MIT, Dr. James Oldroyd, and the thing went viral. We did it again with the Harvard Business Review. We asked a hard question. The basic question was, how fast should you respond to web-based leads? Think about that for a minute. The average response time, even today, is 39 hours and 22 minutes. That's like going into Nordstrom's on a Wednesday and saying, I'd like to look at a pair of shoes. And they say, why don't you come back Friday morning? It makes no sense. But people go to the web because they want it now. The first time we did the research study was with Josh James at Omniture in his audience down at the Grand America in 2007. The average response time was 56 hours. The top websites in the world didn't bother responding to their customers for 56 hours. And they only made 1.7 responses before they gave up. But the scariest thing of all, and listen to this, only 27% of web-based inquiries ever get responded to and spoken to by a salesperson. 1 out of 4. Why bother? So we tested it and we said, what's the best you could get to? And we found that if you have a team that responds in 5 minutes or less, instead of 39 hours, and you make 6 to 9 phone attempts, you can get to 92% of those people. So I just showed you a way to increase your sales by 3.4 times. So go back to your websites, all you innovators, and check how fast your people are getting back. Isn't that common sense? We put a patent on that technology, and one day we were all excited. Dave and I and his wife Elise walks in, and she listens to what we're doing, and she says, congratulations, you guys, you figured out you need to call people back. So we were a little bit humbled after that. She sort of put us in our place. But only raise money when you don't need it. Dave and I are one of the few unicorns out there, maybe the only one who still, well, the last round we just barely crossed the line. We still own the majority of our company. Wow. We made a decision early on that we would grow organically on purpose. We would force ourselves to execute, to operate, and to serve the customer and grow within our means. Our favorite word is scrappy. Grit. I love Hyundai. They have a 100,000-mile warranty, but most people don't realize they put it out there before they were ready. But what did it force them to do? They better get ready. They better have a good car. And for several years, they passed up Toyota. Yeah. Force yourself to execute. And don't just throw money at it. That's what all the others do. Raise it when you need it. And here's another big key. Find investors who invest in you, who believe in you, who will mentor and who will coach you. They get to watch everybody. This is Mark Gornberg and Tafina Chancheva and Dave Barrett of Polaris. Well, I recognize them, and there's Lars Leckie from Hummer Windblad, because they're actually willing to help us grow our company. They put on big dinner events for us to come and speak in Silicon Valley and Boston, and they help us sell. We have a 26% close rate when they put on a dinner for us of the people in the audience. They invest in us, and they guide us through all the problems of trying to grow at hyperspeed. Managed by the numbers. This is probably our mojo right here. We learned a long time ago that technology and science are the key to superhuman sales performance. By the way, this is Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt. We invited him to our office about 2.5 years ago. He says, boy, it was such perfect casting. He just nailed it for me. He's the general manager of the Oakland A's. Several magazines have ranked him as perhaps the single most valuable person in all of professional sports, Billy Beane, because he learned how to use science and statistics to make decisions. In 2002, the Oakland A's were at the tail end of the conference, a budget of $54 million going up against New York and Boston, $250 million budget. And this is a true story. They brought on a young man who showed them how to use math to decide who to hire. Now, we hired Billy Beane to come speak for us. He was $40,000 for 40 minutes. I'm not quite that expensive. But he made a sign. He said, no reporters in the room, and you can't tell anybody what I say in the room. So I had to go out on the web and find public domain information even to tell the story. But here's the story. Look what they were able to accomplish. This is their payroll, 2013. They were the 4th lowest in the league. Now this is 11 years later. They're still doing it. And in 2012 and 2013, they had the most wins of any team. Wow. It's working. And that's with every other team gunning for them now. And every other sport is learning how to do this. Well, when I was at Franklin Covey, we did a research study to say, what makes a great sales rep? We found 4 things. A background in competitive athletics, number 1. A returned Mormon missionary, number 2. Now that was here in Utah. Number 3, an Eagle Scout. Learn to do hard things over time and finish something. And then a background in Microsoft Office technology, at least know Word and Excel. So we love sports metaphors. I collect soccer jokes. I'm an old football coach. It didn't go over well in Rome when I was speaking in front of Cisco. The Americans got my jokes, but nobody else did. I've learned, note to self, don't tell soccer jokes in Europe. By the way, did you know there's never been a national World War won by a country whose national sport was soccer? Just so you know. I can't resist. I apologize. The world just changed. In 2012, Business Insider revealed that Google now has more revenue from advertising than all magazines, all newspapers. I drive people crazy when I stir the pot and I tell them this. I say, I hate to tell you this, but advertising is dead. The traditional model is gone. Now it's still on life support. But the new model is so powerful because it gives you immediate feedback if it worked. And you can change your approach. And within seconds, you can alter what you're doing. So that one is really, really important. A research study done by Business Community Magazine found that they compared high growth companies to normal growth companies, and they found one major difference. 62% of the high growth companies used online lead generation as their main methodology, and only 12% of the normal growth companies did so. And the high growth companies grew 15 times faster online marketing, specifically demand generation, or in other words, leads. It's all about the leads. Then they ask which medias are most important. Now, it's a little hard to see the top one there. Is blogging, believe it or not. So I sort of hit the mother lode. I tripped into it. And look at the high growth companies as blue and the others as orange. Orange, that means they don't do a lot of blogging. Don't think the word blog. Think the word newspaper or magazine. It's a digital magazine for you. Your voice can be heard around the world if you blog. Forbes.com is nothing but a big WordPress blog. Then it all made sense for me. Now this is Austin Krogue and my friend Jeffrey Harmon. They did one of the very first viral videos on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you ought to go have a look at it. Aura Brush, the Aura Brush video. 18 million views later, and in every Walmart in the country. He was asked by Google to come and share this presentation. And everyone says content is king. He says, no, it's only half. The king crown is on one ox and the other one is the queen. And he said they got to be yoked together. And one is content, the other is distribution strategy. In other words, if you do something really cool as a piece of content, you better figure out how you're going to get the word out. Does that make sense? All right. We love the pitcher catcher model. The catcher's made as the conversion device. The ball is the content. The pitcher is how many you throw at it. Email or search. And then our favorite is give back along the way. Bill Gates said that. He wished his only regret was when he became so wealthy is he didn't give back along the way. So we have a foundation called the Do Good Foundation. We give 1% of revenue, labor, and product. And a couple years ago it was to the National Parks Council, the Boy Scouts. So why I love family history and social media? Because it's a family reunion every day. This is Orange T. Baker out of St. George, my great-great-great-grandfather. And we've gotten really good at doing family Facebook events. We're going to show you how on Saturday. If you want to come, we're going to have a big booth, and we're going to walk you through how to do a family Facebook event. This is one for each one of my families, my family lines. Real quick story. My great-grandfather, David Anthony Krogue, up in Bear Lake area, his wife passed away. When he proposed to her originally, he went up in the mountains with her and stood upon this rock, and he proposed to her. When she passed away, I found this story out. This was so cool. He disappeared for a couple days, and they saw him coming back with a horse and buggy and that stone in the bed of the buggy, and he hauled it up to where he knew she was going to be buried, and he put that stone there. Isn't that cool? Now that's a story that brings people together. And the Krogues had been separated years ago on a little bit of a land dispute. And we started telling that story, and my dad and his dear friend from the other side of the family, we all decided to get together. And we had a family reunion for the first time with all the extended Krogue family. And we went up and we stood and we sat and we took pictures on that stone. It pulled us together. So find content that builds and brings people together. And that's how it works. Now, I have been working on the Krogue line for 2 years, and as you can see up at the top there, the first orange arrow, I came up to a dead end right back in Denmark. And we got to know this young lady from Denmark who came into our neighborhood, was an exchange student. And I decided to try the other family line through his wife's side of the Krogues, and I found that it ended up with the Sode family. And this little Danish gal was named Tanita Sode. And I woke Crystal up at 1 in the morning and said, Crystal, I can't believe it. I think we're related to Tanita. So I pulled her over the next day or so, and she came over with really excited. She said her grandmother is a big researcher in genealogy. So she called her grandmother, and her grandmother says, yeah, we are related. In fact, I have 210 pages of family history and genealogy of your line. And she was 2 blocks away from my house. How does that happen? Well, those are the kinds of adventures that begin when you get involved with family history. She was 2 blocks away. And this was her picture of southern Utah. She came and lived with us. Not with us, but in our neighborhood for a year. So lastly, what would I do if I were you? Things to watch. There's so many little apps that it's fragmented everything. They're starting to converge back to platforms. So that's a big trend. I don't know if people know this, but the bubble pretty much just burst in high tech. We were valued at 44 times annual revenue before that happened. And now we're a little bit less than half that. So it's back to profitability. Find apps and find solutions that bring results. Wearable tech is really, really big, specifically a thing called life management, helping you track the things you do every day. Predictive analytics is the future. Make sure you have a way to use science in your products. And DNA is the holy grail. That's really exciting. So I would recommend that you get a blog. Tell your own story. This is the Utah National Parks Council blog. We help them. They're now up to 130,000 subscribers. We've done a Voice of Scouting blog, 270,000 subscribers. Guys, that's bigger than the Salt Lake Tribune and the Deseret News. It's our own newspaper. When those crazies pushed over the Goblin down in Goblin Valley, we wrote an article and it was ahead of Fox News and CNN the next day. So start your own blog. It's got some horsepower. Learn to mobilize your people. So we've started a social media certification program to teach employees and supporters of nonprofits how to use social media. We're going to be teaching and giving away this free course Saturday. So come by and grab one. Learn about it. We've got the who's who of thought leaders in social media sitting on the advisory board to make it a real certification. This is pretty cool. And last but not least, again, I didn't tell you this, but I'm the head of digital marketing for the Boy Scouts of America. I open my mouth too many times. That's what happens. Don't do that. So we're also going to be sharing a genealogy merit badge Saturday online because it's digital. And we'll be giving away little coupons to do that. But I want you to join us. Come and join us in the National Parks Council in our little booth in the exhibit hall. And I just want to say that it's been a thrill. It's fun to have a day job where you do what your passion is, and it's fun to be invited to speak based on your passion as well. Did I do okay today?